From Merriam-Webster, censorship, noun, the system or practice of censoring books, movies, letters, etc. For full clarification as to what this means, because defining words with the word itself is rather silly at times. Censor, noun, a person who examines books, movies, letters, etc., and removes things that are considered to be offensive, immoral, harmful to society, etc. I don't know when this happened. I don't know how this happened. But lately, I have seen a rather alarming rise in what I would call censorship apologists. People who just seem to go out of their way to justify not only why something should be censored, but that, oh, no, it wasn't censored. The scary part to me is that a large chunk of the people I see doing this are the media themselves. That disturbs me in ways I would hope would be pretty obvious. This didn't start with DOA X3, but it's grown from there. I think that's what really brought it to the spotlight, and it's been something that's just been ballooning since. It amazes me the kind of backwards tactics and any sort of justification that will be given for how something isn't censorship or why it's fine. Arguments that I've heard include, but are not limited to, well, sales. It doesn't sell well here in America, so that's why they're not bringing it over. It's not to do with censorship. No. I have a question for anyone that uses that. Where did anybody in any official capacity for DOA X3 say that? Show me. I've looked and I can't fucking find it. They've said it's because fucking media says those kind of games are sexist. Nowhere have I seen anyone from the head of Sony on down to the lowest schmuck at Koei Tecmo have I seen anyone say anything about sales. And I've tried finding it. Oh, well, they decided not to bring it over themselves. Nobody censored them at all. It was a personal choice. Allow me to reference the media once more. Hey, Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo. That's a pretty interesting game you got there. Be a shame if you were all called sexist pieces of shit for bringing it over here. Capiche? Even the head of Sony has said that that is one of the reasons. That for whatever reason, our media has decided to be the moral gatekeepers and that they don't want to deal with it. I wish they would, that they would just grow a pair and bring over the game, but to some degree I can understand why they don't. They don't want to deal with this shit. No developer anywhere wants to be called a sexist for not being a sexist, for just making a fucking game. That these idiots seem to think, well, you like tits. You're a misogynist. What? By the by, the head of Sony referenced Dragon's Crown when he mentioned this. He was slightly misquoted or slightly mistranslated, and he said that there were some gaming publications that had given lower scores to Dragon's Crown because of being thought as sexist. One such person, or publication I should say, was Polygon, in which the author of that piece said that people who enjoyed Dragon's Crown were pedophiles. And let me bring you to a quote by Jason Schreier, also a Polygon. As to why. They're exposed. They're jiggling. They're disproportionate. They're immediately striking. They're part of a lolicon fantasy, drawn to appeal to people who are interested in lolicon fantasies and people who are interested in large breasts. Jason? I don't think you know how pedophile works. I don't think you know how lolicon works. I don't think you can into word. He and people like him are the ones acting as moral gatekeepers. It's beautiful, really. Let me bring up another one. This was for the new Fatal Frame game coming to the Wii U. The decision, which is certainly morally correct, will undoubtedly help Nintendo avoid some unwelcome controversy. That is from yet another journalist. Morally correct. Morally. Who the fuck put you in charge of this shit? Do you know who else were acting in the moral best interest of something? You might have heard of them. They're called the Comics Code Authority. A group that everyone in this day and age considers to have been censorship, unless, of course, you work for them. That was a group that were put together by all of the comic companies themselves for fear of any kind of government control or regulation. Let me go off on a small side note, by the way. Another excuse I've heard from the censorship apologists: it's not the government doing it, so it can't be censorship. That's why I included both of those definitions, first of all, because it nowhere says it has to be the government. But let's do it even better. This was an organization that was created because the comic book industry in the 50s feared that there might be government intervention. And that's how this works. The government doesn't have to do jack shit. They have to maybe say they might at some point do something, and companies fall over backwards to censor themselves. That's how this shit works. That's why you don't hear about the government censoring shit here in America. You might in China, but you don't really hear about it here. Maybe a couple things here or there every now and again, but not regularly. Because they don't have to. People will do it for them. Moving on, the Comics Code Authority was set up in a way to protect them, to protect the comic industry from any kind of government intervention. That sounds like a good idea in theory, until they realized that the Comics Code Authority and the people that they put in charge of that were absolutely batshit. They were moral gatekeepers. There is no other way to describe it. They were the moral authority on what could and could not be in comics. And it wasn't until the 70s when Stan Lee was asked by the government to make a Spider-Man comic about drug use, which he himself wanted to do because he didn't like drugs. He wanted to show the dangers of using drugs. And the Comics Code Authority wouldn't let him because it wasn't moral. The government asked him to, and the authority wouldn't let him because it wasn't moral. Let that sink in. Just absorb that for a moment. So what did Stan Lee do? He said, fuck you, I'm going to publish it anyway. They told him, ha ha ha, good luck selling it, ha ha ha. It sold just as well as any previous issue of Spider-Man. There was no direct impact. That was the first step in realizing that the Comics Code Authority had no real power. It took another 20 fucking years for them to go away, though. That's how long this shit takes. Even when you realize nothing will be done, it still takes a long fucking time for censorship to go away. And I emphasize them because they did what our glorious media seems to be doing right now. They seem to be acting as moral gatekeepers, holier than thou people that think that they know better and they need to protect society and all that kind of bullshit. I am getting incredibly sick and tired of these kind of justifications and reasoning for why there needs to be censorship. No, there doesn't. Another one I've heard, well, Japan censors violence all the time. So? Two wrongs don't make a right. I don't agree with them censoring violence. I don't agree with us censoring anything. Why should them doing something justify us doing something? That's bullshit and you know it. I keep hearing that thrown around. What the fuck does it matter? I don't agree with censorship. Period. So many excuses I've heard in just the last month alone. So many excuses, so many reasons, so many justifications. Why? Why are you so fucking censorship happy? I know why. Morally obligated. It blows my mind. It really does. And I'm just so fucking sick and tired of it. Do you know how easy it is for companies to not be the first to censor something? It's really difficult to be the first. When you're not the first, though, it is a whole lot easier. Stop giving them any kind of reason to keep doing this, because it will get worse. The last little bit that I've heard is, oh, well, you just want softcore porn, or you can just go on the internet for porn, or you just want your big anime titties. I've actually heard journalists say this, I'm not kidding. I couldn't give a shit. I really couldn't. As far as what's being censored, I don't care. The fact that it's being censored at all is what I give a damn about. It shouldn't matter if it's something you like or not. It should matter that it is being censored. That's all that matters. I know it's not easy to defend something you don't give a crap about. Or it's easy to go after something you don't give a crap about. How long until it's your thing? How long until they start trying to censor stuff you care about? Then where were you? Oh, wait, you were there giving them the ammunition they needed to do it. Stop with the censorship apologism. Stop with the justifications for it. You should know better. The fact that a random idiot on the internet needs to explain this is insulting. And I will continue to fight for the right of these things to exist until I can't fight no more. Because maybe I'm out of touch, but I don't see any sort of moral reason why we shouldn't have these things and why they morally need to be censored. But like I said, maybe I'm just crazy. It's been Math Machine, being an immoral shitlord. Peace out.